All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we'll be recapping week 5 of the NFL season. I went and saw the Broncos get kind of embarrassed by the Jets. Don't really want to talk about that one, honestly, but how was your weekend with the Chargers having a bye week?
It was pretty uneventful. It felt like really stress-free this week. Much needed bye after all the injuries. And it felt like a week off, man. It felt like I didn't have to have an aneurysm on my couch. So, it was much needed, but I'm excited to see him play next week.
Yep, and sadly, Shane was the picks champ this week, so he's not with us today. But yeah, he's tied with you with the lead for picks champ. So I'm behind, man. I got to do better.
Got to pick it up. But you know what? He's got to lose. He's got to lose a point for not making it on the pod after. What a
Yeah,
nerd! What a nerd! Can't even make it on the pod after he's the picks champ. But
yeah,
that's all right. You
hasn't been
know.
on the last few pods, so he's a rebuke from this this week's picks champ.
Yeah. So he gets an automatic -1. So let's just ignore the fact that he won and move on.
Yep. And let's get on to our stud and goof of the week. Really excited to talk about our stud of the week, Jamar Chase. I'll read the stats off to you. It doesn't even sound real. 19 targets, 15 catches, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12.8 yards per catch. It just doesn't sound like a real stat line. He was playing Madden in Arizona, and they just absolutely dominated in Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, he was ridiculous. I think I saw another stat of he broke a record for 14 or more catches going for either a touchdown or a first down. So absolutely, yeah, just a wild, a wild stat.
That is
Uh,
insane.
it's right after, of course, I talked major heat on Joe Burrow that he comes out and he puts up this performance. So, maybe that's all maybe he needed to just watch an episode of the NFL Seekers to light a fire under his ass. But, he looked like OG Joe Burrow right there, and Jamar Chase was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was actually our goof of the week last week. So he definitely bounced back from that. And I guess we'll get on to our goof of the week this week. Just Mac Jones, just terrible. After being benched last week, he gets benched again, second week in a row. Got absolutely embarrassed by the Saints at home. He went 12 for 22, 110 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a 7 QBR, 7.0 QBR. So just a very, very rough outing for Mac. And it's looking like the Patriots are probably going to be looking for a new quarterback in 2024. They're going to be in the Caleb sweepstakes, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones just ultimately disappointing. But I just want to say one thing about the Patriots. Their whole offense is just pretty awful. And, Mac Jones definitely the goof of the week, but their receiving core has got to be the worst receiving core in the NFL right now. I mean, it's pretty brutal. The Patriots need a whole new makeover. And I mean, ever since Brady left, it's just kind of been a disaster. Defense has just been, keeping them in games. But I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's time for a franchise culture change. Something needs to change with the Patriots, but they look like absolute goofballs, and Mac Jones is not helping himself out right now with those fumbles and picks.
Yeah, they really do have like no weapons. The Patriots coaching staff's kind of struggling, so it's just not the same old Patriots. And yeah, they're definitely gonna have to improve. And our goof of the week's got a lot to prove if he wants to be the Patriots starter next year. But with that, we'll get onto our game recaps. We'll start with the Thursday night game. The Bears go into Washington and just kind of dominate the Commanders 40-20, just an ass beating on Thursday night. Yeah, the Bears come out absolutely swinging. They just dominated Sam Howell, the Commanders. The Commanders kind of scored some at the end, but it was a pure beatdown. And Sam Howell looked rough, like really rough. He was throwing bad picks. He's a kind of careless player. I was a little surprised by that. And yeah, man, the Bears just kind of went out and kind of had a statement game. DJ Moore, this man right here, just if in any normal week in the NFL, he would have been our stud of the week. But Jamar Chase just went too crazy. But DJ Moore and Justin Fields kind of had a shutting the haters up game.
Yeah, it was fantastic for me watching that game on Thursday night. DJ Moore is my wide receiver one, so he dropped a 49 piece on Thursday night, and there's nothing better going into Sunday when you're already projected like 30 above what your normal projection was. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of disappointing. Sam Howell, I mean, he didn't play like horrible, but he was just kind of, just looked sloppy. The whole team looked sloppy. They could not get their running game going at all. Sam Howell was their leading rusher, 4 carries for 19 yards. Brian Robinson, 6 carries for 10 yards. It looked sloppy all around. They couldn't get anyone going. They couldn't find any momentum. But then on the other hand, props to the Bears, getting their first win of the season. Justin Fields, kind of these last 2 weeks is, all of a sudden became a new version of himself. And, I love to see it. Love Justin Fields, want to root for him. But yeah, I mean, a 4 touchdown performance with no interceptions. Also ran for 57 yards. He looked fantastic, and hopefully they keep this train going. But yeah, they played some pretty good football the last 2 weeks, and Justin Fields fighting to stay on the Bears and not wanting to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes next year.
Yeah, hopefully Justin can keep this magic going. Hopefully he can keep the momentum. He's a great athlete. He has all the potential in the world, but it's just been rough. Other than the last 2 weeks, personally, I'm selling Justin high in fantasy. I'm probably going to tell you guys all to try to sell high on Justin if you can. Coming off those 2 big weeks in fantasy, the schedule gets a little bit rougher down the line. So I personally would try to capitalize off of that with Justin Fields and get a more reliable quarterback. But like, what is the Redskins defense? I wanted to talk about the Redskins defense. It is supposed to be like a good unit. It's been a pretty solid unit the last few years. It's kind of the unit that was supposed to make I called them the Redskins. The Commanders. It's supposed to make the Commanders like a competitive team this year because of their defense. But like, I just don't get it. Like, it's just incompetent on every level of the whole defense. Emmanuel Forbes got benched. He just got absolutely
That pick was a
embarrassed.
joke. We called our shots on that earlier this year. The absolute fumble on not drafting Christian Gonzalez is just still. I mean, I'm scratching my head right now, just like trying to figure out why. But wow, yeah, yeah, their defense has been. I mean, allowing 40 points to the Bears is pretty pathetic. I mean, I would say mostly their corners were just getting torched out there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know and I think I just called them Redskins too. I don't know. I can't keep their names straight.
How about on the podcast from now on, when we're pissed at them, we're gonna call them the Redskins, and then when they do good, we'll call them the Commanders. So they're definitely the
They don't deserve
Redskins
to be
after
called
last week.
yeah, they don't deserve to be called their real name after
No.
losing by 20 to the Bears. But yeah, ridiculous. Shout out DJ Moore at the end of the day though. Love that guy.
Yeah, shout out DJ Moore and Justin Fields. They made the Commanders the Redskins this week. We'll go on to the next one. The Jaguars beat the Bills in London. Their home country, London, 25-20. Trevor Lawrence had a really surgical game. Great throw to seal the game to Trevor Ridley. He was just throwing lasers. ETN kind of dominated this game, kind of took this game over and kind of sealed it in the second half. So love to see that from him. Respect to ETN. And speaking of lasers, like Josh Allen was throwing lasers. He was throwing lasers to Stephon Diggs, especially the whole first half. At the end of the first half, there was a specific play that got him in field goal range. So yeah, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, just absolute freaks, and they duked it out in London.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest it's kind of crazy. I mean, I know the Jaguars had a huge advantage being to stay in London 2 weeks in a row. The Bills had to travel all the way out there. And yeah, but Josh Allen was actually really good this game. I mean, kind of put the team on his back as he usually does. But the Jaguars were just playing some pretty flawless football, and their defense was playing. I mean, everyone was playing good. Josh Allen was the other Josh Allen on the Jaguars was playing like his freaking life depended on it. I mean, dude was all over the field, forcing pressure, sacks. I mean, it was pretty amazing, but it's kind of crazy. I was not expecting this outcome. The Jags just kind of had the early lead, or not really early lead. Score was like weird. It was like 11-18 or something, going into like the second half, and the Jaguars just held on and were able to finish it out. And it's kind of crazy. I mean, they like you said, Trevor Lawrence was playing surgical football, wasn't making mistakes. Travis Etienne just had a phenomenal game. I mean, he went off 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think that's kind of where the Bills' biggest weakness is just relying on Josh Allen too much. I mean, because he's almost every week, it seems like he's their leading rusher. I mean, they do have some good running backs, but I mean, James Cook, 5 rushes for -4 yards. Are you kidding me?
That was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a goof of the week right there. James Cook, have to
Yep.
shout him out. Big stat line right there. But I feel like that's always kind of been the Bills' problem. Is just they don't have a run. They don't have an identity in the run game. They never have.
And they showed that last year as well. It's kind of just been the Bills' problem is they need to have more of an offense outside of Josh Allen. And I love that they've added Dalton Kincaid with Dawson Knox, and now they have the 12 personnel going for them. But they've got to get the run game going. James Cook has had one good game this year, but yeah, between Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, and James Cook, you've got to be more surgical in the run game. You've got to lean into it more, even if Josh Allen can get you the first down on almost any given run. Just save that for the end of the season.
Yeah, it
And
just
I
feels.
oh
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it's just that's one thing the Bills have just lacked for it seems like years now. It's just they do not have that identity in the run game, and that's what's ultimately going to keep them from being Super Bowl contenders. I mean, because when it came down to it last year and the Chiefs needed a running back and the run game, it was there. Isaiah Pacheco was running 150 yards, it seemed like in the Super Bowl. And, they could lean on that at certain points. And where the Bills, you can't. Their run game's never consistent. It's never been good. And Josh Allen's almost their leading rusher every game.
yeah, it definitely does kind of suck having to lean on Josh Allen to be like your power back. You would wish to see James Cook kind of take on more of a lead back role. Still need to see a lot more from him, but yeah, and I did want to shout out AJ Epinesa. Kind of really benefited from Von Miller coming back. He just balled out and almost won the Bills this game.
Yeah, crazy game. Crazy to see that the Jags came on top. Was not expecting that.
Yep. We'll get on to the first of the 1 o'clock games. It is the sorry about that. We'll get on to the
Hey,
first of the 1 o'clock games. It is the Titans at Colts. The Colts win 23-16, and I think I'd like to see Anthony Richardson never run the ball ever again. Like I understand he's an electric runner, but he's such a good passer. Like 2 weeks ago against the Rams, he threw a seam to Josh Downs down the seam, and it was just an absolute laser, like a throw I've never seen before. He's truly Dan Marino's arm, like an arm that the NFL has never seen before. I wouldn't mind if Anthony Richardson just never ran the ball ever again because he does take hits. His running style isn't very beneficial for a quarterback. So I don't. It's scary seeing him run. He's already going to miss a few weeks apparently. So you hate that, but you love that the Colts win, and you love to see Zach Moss just absolutely dominate.
it's crazy. Out of 5 weeks, we've already had 2 Anthony Richardson injuries.
I think there's 3 actually.
Oh yeah, I think Well, I mean, concussion. Now his wrist, and what was the third one?
There was week 1, whatever it was like an ankle or something he left.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Colts are very fortunate to have Gardner Minshew, a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. Should be starting on a couple different rosters. But I mean, yeah, they're lucky because they don't really miss a beat with Gardner Minshew. He comes in there, he makes the throws, he gets it done. But Zach Moss, another stud of the week. I want to shout him out. 23 carries, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the week that Jonathan Taylor returns. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor was on a snap count, didn't get too much carries, but Zach Moss looking like a true RB1 right after the Colts give Jonathan Taylor a bag, especially for a running back. I think it was a 4-year or maybe 3-year, $42 million deal or something. So he got the bag, and then, you have Zach Moss come out here, a guy that's making absolutely nothing, just lighting up the stat sheets. And overall, it's a pretty boring game. I mean, the Titans just really couldn't get Derrick Henry going, which is really their only life at this point. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, I almost wonder how long, his shelf life is left before they try Will Levis out. But it's gonna be interesting. This division, everything, it's gonna be pretty close by the end of it. But a pretty boring game overall. Colts go in there and get it done. Zach Moss absolutely dominates.
And yeah, how ironic was that for the pay the running backs crowd that right after they pay the running back, the backup running back goes and out produces and like really completely out produces the start. I know Jonathan Taylor is going to get a lot more work moving forward, but yeah, just ironic and funny game.
It is ironic. It's just like, yeah, right as I know for the whole, and I know Ballard didn't want to pay Jonathan Taylor, and he held out, and then as right as that happens, Zach Moss runs for 170 against one of the better rushing team or run defenses in the NFL. Just classic.
And it's also insanely ironic, not to go on a tangent, but that they didn't pay him the first month of this, or they didn't pay him, and then the first month of the season, Zach Moss is great, like a easily a starting running back, and they still end up caving and paying JT, and then Moss has another great game. So it's just hilarious.
It is. It's classic. I mean, I guess it's good to have two good running backs, but yeah, it's funny.
It is a good complementary duo, and shout out to Josh Downs. It looks like he might have arrived this game. It sucks that Anthony Richardson's going to be out for a few weeks, but you can definitely probably start Josh Downs with Gardner Minshew. We'll move on to the ass beating of the week. The Saints went into the New England and beat the Patriots 34-0. Our goof of the week, Mac Jones, really handed this one to Tyrann Mathieu and the Saints. The Saints defense just slaughtered the Patriots. Patriots just are so anemic and stale on offense. They can't get anything going at all. It's really rough to watch. The Saints offense isn't even that electric, but they put on some fireworks here in New England, and the Saints looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of pathetic. I see a stat that Patriots have been outscored 72-3 in the last two games. So absolutely brutal. Bill Belichick's two worst losses of his career. Um, Christian Gonzalez goes down. It's looking bad for the Patriots. But if they're in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, that might be pretty electric for them if that was a chance if Caleb Williams even wants to play in New England, because apparently he's going to choose his NFL team. He's pulling a Eli Manning on all of us.
Yeah, he'll pick and choose, but I think Bill Belichick would probably be able to convince him. That'd be crazy.
But shout out to Caleb Williams last week against Arizona. Did you see that game?
Oh, Arizona. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw the end of it. I only saw the overtime. So
that dude, maybe Patrick Mahomes. I know.
it's such an easy comparison. Like when you watch Caleb Williams, it literally just looks like Mahomes. The way he moves, his mannerisms, the way he throws, it's so weird. Like they are literally the same player.
Just the way they manipulate defenses and run the ball, and I mean it's crazy. It's crazy, and then the throwing with ease, and it's ridiculous. Caleb Williams is an absolute superstar, and it's going to just be crazy to see this next coming draft season and what's to come of that.
Yeah, if like the Bears or the Cardinals, a team that has two top picks, if they can pair him with Marvin Harrison, that could be a dynasty. Like that, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, and then want to shout out Alvin Kamara coming back from suspension, looking like a true RB1 right now. I think he had, let's see, it was 12 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, or sorry, 22 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, and also adding 3 receptions for 17 yards. Not that great, but looking like real in fantasy implications, a real RB1. And Chris Olave been struggling. Dan, can we get a thoughts on that?
I'm not too worried about Olave. They've really been involving Michael Thomas a lot, probably a little bit too much, but I think Olave will be fine. I'd probably actually trade for Olave if you could. I think they'll be just fine. I think the Saints will be good moving forward. So
I agree. I think Olave is going to start picking it up. He's had 2 down weeks, but I'm sure he's going to keep rolling. He's definitely the best wide receiver talent on that team right now.
And how nice is it for Alvin Kamara owners to just have him inserting right into your lineup as a starting running back moving forward? What a great draft pick that was. I definitely missed on not drafting him.
I know it was like a 3-week suspension for RB1. Oh man, people are getting him in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Oh yeah, crazy good value. I really and they drafted Kendra Miller. I mean, they kind of fooled all of us. But the people who ended up getting Alvin Kamara, congratulations. He's paying his value.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out when Jamal Williams comes back. But we'll get on to the next game. The Texans going to Atlanta and lose to the Falcons 21-19 in a really close game. It was a great game. It was a really back and forth, evenly matched. Good to see Kyle Pitts kind of get involved for the first time in a long time. Kind of felt like Ritter's best passing game in a while. They kind of actually were able to move the ball passing wise. And even though Bijan didn't have the best game on the ground, he's a star. He gets the yards and the touchdowns when it's needed.
Yeah, storyline of the 2 rookie of the years going at it. And also, I'm going to say another thing. I called out Desmond Ridder last week. I called out Joe Burrow last week, and then they both have their best game of the season. So maybe I just need to start calling quarterbacks out, coming for their head. But Desmond Ridder absolutely, actually looked, serviceable. Yeah, he looked like an NFL quarterback this week, which is surprising for me to say. I mean, going 28 of 37, 329 yards, one passing touchdown, and then he snakes one rushing touchdown from Bijan, which absolutely just makes fantasy owners want to chuck a freaking remote at the wall. Uh, but he played a hell of a game. So shout out Desmond Ridder, and against a good Texans defense. Um, but yeah, I can't believe he snaked that touchdown. I was watching that right at the beginning of the game. Oh, it made me so mad. For all you Bijan owners out there, I'm sorry. He didn't have his best week. He should have had 2 touchdowns. Didn't happen. But I mean, did you see his catch on his touchdown and just like how just his moves are just insane. I don't think anyone else moves like Bijan Robinson in the NFL. It's ridiculous.
He's just so smooth. He moves like a 99 overall player in Madden when everyone else is 60 overall. It's just it's different, man. It's almost hard to explain. I'm like stumbling on my words. It's watching Bijan. It's a treat, man. And speaking of Ritter stealing a touchdown, I think Tyler Algier stole like a 1 yard receiving touchdown as well, I believe.
Is that I think he did. I'm on the stat line right now. Was it no? Bijan scored one. Ritter, wait, who
Oh, I'm
scored?
tripping then.
Yeah, no, let's see.
Maybe it was
Desmond,
the week before.
I think they kicked like 4 field goals, if I'm not. Young Hoku, they
Yeah,
scored
the
20 points.
kickers went off in this game. I started Fairburn and I was happy about that.
Yeah. Oh, Tyler Algier caught a 2-point conversion.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yes. We're still frustrated. And then another gotta talk about CJ Stroud. Continue to not throw, just make smart decisions. Goes another game without an interception. I think he just broke the record for the most out of any NFL quarterback.
Ever.
Uh, yeah, it's like 200 and something pass attempts now. I think he's what he's at. I think it was like 175 was the record. But yeah, he's thrown like 200 pass attempts without an interception through his first 5 games. Absolutely ridiculous. CJ Stroud looking like an absolute superstar and the best quarterback of the draft.
Incredible stuff. As a Texans fan, how could you be mad at all? Even with this loss in a back and forth game that was really a coin flip, just for who won anyway. So Texans fans, keep your head up. A beautiful, insane future ahead for you. I'm jealous. We'll move on to the next game. The Giants go into Miami and get pummeled by the Dolphins. 31-16 is almost everyone expected. And really, I have one takeaway in this game. I didn't expect absolutely anything from the Giants, but A-Chain is literally like Chris Johnson. It's crazy. He is way, 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 way too fast. The Dolphins are too fast. Like it was comical. Like Tyreek Hill was saying that he doesn't think that anyone will beat A-Chain's like 22 mile per hour speed, and then Tyreek Hill goes and beats it like on a casual like slant this game, and then A-Chain like broke the 23 miles per hour mark. So they're just literally racing each other, and this team is a track meet, and it's fun to watch.
I sent a text during the game after Achan broke that 70-yard touchdown or whatever that was. Like, is this dude is he the best of all time? Like, can we already crown him? Is he like the greatest running back we've ever seen? This dude is averaging 12.1 yards a carry. And he scored like 5 touchdowns through like his first like 2 games. I mean, it doesn't feel real. He just like feels too electric. On 38 carries, he has 460 yards.
It literally feels like every time he touches the ball, it's at least going to be a first down, if not a
He's
touchdown.
the
It's
rushing
crazy.
leader in the NFL, and he didn't even start really week 1, and he was limited snaps week 2.
And of course, he just falls into the Dolphins' hands of all teams that needed a fast running back. It's like they could really lean into him as their main lead running back, and it would be an OP. Like he would be a fantasy star. Like it's unreal.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like at this point, I'm crowning this dude like the best running back I've ever seen. It's just I don't know anyone who averages 12.1 yards a carry through their first 5 games. It's ridiculous. He's the NFL rushing leader. There's not much to talk about the Dolphins. They're actually absolutely just electric. They're dominant on offense. However, they are beatable because we saw the Bills just absolutely mow them over. But Achan, man, this guy's different. He's special, and like you said, it's like flashes of Chris Johnson that 2,000-yard season. It's crazy.
Yeah, but it literally feels like that season. It's crazy stuff. This Dolphins team is just an absolute track team, and yeah, you
Yeah.
love to see it. And even with that Bills game, like I feel like if they played again, with how good the Dolphins coaching staff is, they're gonna scheme some stuff up, and it's gonna be a different game. So yeah, you love what you're seeing still.
And I have to apologize to you, Dan. You wanted to bid 60 something dollars on HN in our co-manager league. And I said, no, I don't feel comfortable bidding quite 61 on a backup running back. Little I eat my words now. We bid 40 something on him. We didn't get him. And I'm eating my words now.
Yeah, we fumbled. Now we're starting Matt Breida last week, and we're losing. So it's a fumble all around. So that's a little bit rough. Devon A. Chain just a star. If you have him in fantasy, fire him up. Start him every week moving forward. We will move on to the Panthers, who go into Detroit and lose to the Lions 42-24. Lions are just looking really good. They're looking like one of the forces in the league right now. 2 touchdowns for this man, Sam Laporta. How happy are you if you drafted Sam Laporta in fantasy? That is incredible to have a tight end option like that in general, and let alone a rookie tight end. Like, it's crazy. And then on the Panthers end, Miles Sanders has been terrible. He's not a very good running back. It kind of showed that in Philadelphia, but they had an incredible offensive line, so it kind of blinded that. But yeah, Miles Sanders is rough. Adam Thielen is still incredible. He's putting up some big numbers. It's pretty crazy. The Panthers are just a year out, but the Lions are incredible.
Sam Laporta is position rank 1 out of all tight ends right now through week 5.
That's
This
crazy.
it's ridiculous. I completely fumbled Sam Laporta in our main league. I drafted Dalton Kincaid a couple rounds earlier. Then right at the end of the draft, I helped out one of our buddies, and I whispered to him. I said, "Take," and like his very last pick, I said, "Take Sam Laporta here." I was like, "I already have 2 tight ends. I can't take him. Just take Sam Laporta." Because he drafted Chico Conco in like the 11th round, and then this was his last pick. He needed another backup tight end. I told him to take Laporta, and oh man, do I regret it.
That's tough. You could have picked him up, man.
Absolute fumble from me on that. Dude, it's crazy. Like, in not to, I mean, like, to our main league had like Sam Laporta, Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua, like all these top, supposed to be free agents in most leagues. It was all gone. We didn't even get an opportunity to get any of these guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, I had to spend $60 of fab on Kenneth Gainwell because there was no one to spend fab on. It was rough, but
It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal FAB season for us. But I mean, the Lions, to get back on track with them, absolutely rolling. Their offense and defense is just clicking on all cylinders. They're looking like a team to beat in the NFL right now. And you should be watching out for the Lions. They're a lethal team. Sadly, the Panthers just aren't there yet to hang with them. But what a game from Sam Laporta! What a game from Jared Goff! The defense looks awesome. They're rolling.
yep, this Lions defense is just rolling. They're playing a lot better at football. They're getting better every week. You love to see it. We'll get on to the next one. The Eagles going to LA and defeat the Rams 23-14. It was a good game. The Eagles stay undefeated on the road. They take care of business. And Cup's return. Cooper Cup and Puka kind of showed that they can definitely coexist and be a really good wide receiver duo. They both showed out in fantasy still. You could probably start both of them if you have both of them on the same fantasy team. Just 2 absolute studs. They're probably like the 2 smartest Travis Kelce-esque receivers in the NFL, where they can just find open zones in the NFL, or find open zones on the defense and just get open for Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford loves these guys. So despite the loss for the Rams, I think it's still positive. They're still way better than you expected. They got some rookies showing out, and yeah, the Eagles are just still rolling, still undefeated. Love to see it.
Yeah, I think the storyline for me is the Eagles squeak out of another one. um,
Yeah.
these guys I mean, obviously they're playing good football. They're undefeated, but I mean, man, they are just winning every close game. It kind of reminds me of the Vikings of last year, when the Vikings were like 8-1. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles look great. But yeah, I mean, they're not as dominant as they were last year. And then the Rams look, so yeah, surprisingly a lot better. And a world where Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp are on the same team looks pretty nice, and it looks like Matthew Stafford's going to be able to target the hell out of these guys. They're going to be getting open. two guys that are very hard to cover and just find that sweet spot in the defense and are able just to sit there and get open every play. So it'll be exciting to see the Rams move forward. They're definitely playing better than their roster says.
Yep. And on the Eagles end, good win on the road. You'll take it. Moving forward, you want to see a little bit better of a performance from like Devontae Smith. AJ Brown's beasting though right now. They're kind of leaning into AJ Brown, so you can't hate it. They're getting it done.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to have a hell of a week next week against the Jets offense. I think that should be a fun one for them to bounce back.
Oof, that should be an interesting game.
Yeah, man, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
It looks like the Eagles are going to start. What is it? 6-0 then, 7-0 after next week. 6-0.
Just write them down for win already. Oh, just write them down for win. But can we start a train to get Jameis Winston to the Jets, please? How fun would that be? He would be absolutely electric. He would be putting up. I mean, that team would automatically, in my opinion, be playoff contenders with Jameis Winston. Just sign him to a 1-year deal. I know that they want Rodgers and they don't want to step on Rodgers' toe and they don't want to get another veteran franchise quarterback or anything like that. But just get Jameis Winston, sign him to a 1-year deal, make the playoffs, see how far of a run you can go on.
Yeah, Jameis to the Jets would be really, really fun. Revelation that the Jets kind of need. It would be huge for their team, get them competitive. But we'll move on to the next one. The Bengals go into Arizona and kind of dominate the Cardinals, who always play tough, 34-20. And this kind of just the Jamar Chase game. I feel like the only player we should talk about in this game is Jamar Chase. He just absolutely took over our stud of the week. We already mentioned his insane stat line that doesn't make sense, but yeah, Joe Burrow looked good. Definitely still injured, but he definitely could push the ball down the field. And yeah, it's kind of impressive. Like this Cardinals defense has been playing really hard every single week so far this season. So the fact that the Bengals just had a firework explosion in Arizona is pretty positive.
Yeah. And of course, the 1 week where Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals decided to regress, I had them. Gosh dang it. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the Bengals. I called out Joe Burrow. I picked the Arizona Cardinals to win this game, and they proved me wrong. And yeah, Jamar Chase just had himself a career game right there. Absolutely phenomenal performance from them. Not too much else to talk about, but a dominant win from the Bengals that they needed desperately.
Yep, desperately needed, and hopefully they can keep it rolling with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. All right, we'll get on to the Ravens going into Pittsburgh and losing to the Steelers 17-10. A pretty gross, low-scoring AFC North matchup, but man, George Pickens is always open. Even when this guy's covered, he's always open. The catches this guy comes down with, the contested catches he comes down with, his spatial awareness, his ability to get his toes down, like just everything about George Pickens just makes him available and open at all times, even if he's not the best separator and actually like open. He's always open. Throw it up to George Pickens and he'll create space to get open, like he did on that touchdown. Pickett just threw it up and hoped that Pickens would create some space and get the touchdown. So you love to see it. Pickens took over, and TJ Watt, like every other game, he took over, kind of flipped the game over and kind of won by himself again. TJ Watt's just insane. It seems like he's doing every game. He probably should be the defensive player of the year at this point so far this season. And Joey Porter Jr. already one of the best corners in the league, kind of like we predicted this draft season. So love to see that as well.
Yeah, crazy game. Definitely felt like just a nitty gritty divisional type game. Where, I mean, these two teams are both famous for their defenses, just playing hard nosed football. And the Ravens kept the Steelers to 3 points up until the fourth quarter, and the Steelers just got the momentum, and when Pickett threw up that last touchdown to Pickens, it was just ridiculous. He looked so good. Why he isn't getting these opportunities every game? They need to be hyper targeting George Pickens, because I think at this point he's by far their best offensive playmaker. He's the most electric guy on the field, and he looked awesome. On the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson struggled. You just couldn't really find a rhythm. The Steelers defense was just playing really lights out. TJ Watt was all over the place. Like you said, he's looking like the defensive player of the year. I know you picked Myles Garrett. I picked Micah Parsons, but man, TJ Watt is just a different kind of football player. And the motor on that guy is just ridiculous. He's nonstop. He just goes, goes, goes. But yeah, very close, nitty-gritty divisional game. Pickens goes off and ends up winning the game for the Steelers. And it was a close game. And it's crazy. I definitely picked the Ravens in this one to win. And the Steelers came out here with their heads on fire and got it done.
Yeah, I think the Steelers kind of surprised a lot of people. I feel like most people were picking the Ravens, regardless if Trubisky or Pickett played in this one. And yeah, Pickett didn't look the best. He honestly, until like the fourth quarter, he didn't really look good. But yeah, the typical Steelers win, just grinding it out. The defense looked great, and Pickens is a star. Feed him
Yeah.
way more.
Yeah. Feed Pickens. That should be our thing. Just throw it up to the dude. He's gonna make plays. He's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's always open. He'll make the catch. He'll come down with anything. And I did see that the Steelers were interested in Byron Leftwich. I know things ended sourly in Tampa, but I do think Byron Leftwich would actually be a good addition. Bringing him over on the staff and getting rid of Canada. I think the Leftwich would be good.
Yeah, getting rid of Matt Canada would be probably the biggest thing for the Steelers, the biggest W this season. I mean, they need to change. They need to change their offensive coordinator. I mean, he is flat. Matt Canada is pretty awful. I mean, and the Steelers, it is ultimately their defense that won in this game. Obviously, they came up big when their offense had needed them to. But yeah, I mean, this low scoring of a game and just the toxic culture with Matt Canada, they need to move on from him. I'm surprised they haven't yet.
Yep. We'll get on to the next one. The Kansas City Chiefs go into Minnesota and beat the Vikings 27-20 in a pretty close matchup. Travis Kelce gets injured in this one and comes back and scores a touchdown. Rashee Rice scores a touchdown. Nothing too crazy on the Chiefs end. They kind of just had a nonchalant game. Scored when they needed to in the end, kind of like they always do. Like Mahomes always runs for just the amount of yards that he always somehow needs. He throws for just the amount of everything Mahomes does just works. They're gonna get the win no matter what. But one aspect of the Chiefs that's really impressed me is Isaiah Pacheco. He's kind of brought a whole new aspect to that team, and their running game is for real, and their defense is for real. So the Chiefs do have a lot of they're a lot more balanced than the last few years, even if they're not as explosive.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I keep saying, like, the Chiefs just look beatable this year. They don't look like a superstar. They don't look crazy, but what do? They just go in there and they do just enough to always get the win. And you never really question it. You never really question that they're going to win. I mean, the football team itself does look beatable. Outside of Mahomes and Kelce, there's just and I mean, Pacheco this year just looks awesome, but there's just no real superstars, and they're a very beatable team. Their defense is playing a good brand of football right now, but they are beatable, and I look at them every week. But it doesn't matter if they're beatable because you can't beat Mahomes. I mean, whatever he needs to do, in whatever unorganized fashion he needs to do, he does it. He'll manipulate the defense for 10 minutes at the end of the game. He'll make a crazy scramble. He comes out on top every game, and it's just truly an anomaly, and it's just phenomenal watching it week in and week out. It's a head scratcher. It doesn't make any sense, but I mean, shout out to Mahomes. He's the greatest football player on the planet. He does things in an unorthodox way that we just don't understand. I've never seen before, and it's always fun and something new to watch with him.
Yeah, and like you said, this Chiefs team does feel like they're going to be in a lot more close games than usual, and that is when Mahomes, as we've seen the last few games, where he just does enough. He throws perfect. He fits balls into crazy windows on third and longs, fourth and longs at the end of games. He'll run around in the pocket until someone gets open. He'll run around 20 yards, reverse the other way, and get the first down barely by an inch. It's just what he does. He's just magic, man.
And I also have to comment on Justin Jefferson. Any updates on his injury? He might.
No real update, but it's looking like he's going to miss at least 1 week against the Bears.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a huge loss for the Vikings. Pretty much their sole focus of this offense going down. It's brutal. It's a brutal loss. Even if it's just for a week, it just feels like a gut-wrenching loss. And I mean, It's tough to be a Vikings fan right now at 1-4, almost like looking like your playoff chances are dead. And it looks like, you're going to be in contention for a top pick. And it's going to be an interesting offseason going forward and seeing how the Vikings finish out this year and what they decide to do with Kirk Cousins and his team, and whether they decide, if they're going to sell the barn and sell all their superstars, or what direction they're going to go into. So it's going to be interesting for the Vikings now at 1-4.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the Vikings, how they move forward. And I just realized with Jefferson out next week, if he is out, fire up Jordan Addison against the Bears. He's going to absolutely eat in fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else you want to say on this one?
No, I think we move on.
All right. Well, was Taylor Swift at this game? I didn't catch it.
Maybe.
I'm actually being serious. I don't know.
I don't think she actually was, because I was watching NFL Red Zone pretty much all day Sunday, and
I didn't see 5,000 tweets on my timeline, so I'm assuming she wasn't. But
I think she missed this game. So I'm pretty sure, because I watched what was on Sunday. Pretty sure I would have noticed, but yeah, no, I don't think she was.
And the Chiefs play the Broncos Thursday night on primetime, so she'll definitely be at that one, and that'll transition us into the Jets, who go into Denver and beat the Broncos. It was actually Breece Hall 31, Denver 21. The Jets kind of figured out that you can give Breece Hall the ball every single play, and apparently just dominate. So they figured that out in the second half after kind of struggling in the first half. The Broncos I would say they kind of had their way in the first half. They kind of got what they wanted. The Jets had a safety. They had a muff punt. So there were some just silly mistakes that this Broncos team cannot afford to have against a team with this good of defense. So just dumb mistakes that kind of let the Jets back into it. And the Jets offensive line dominated once they started getting a hold on the Broncos defense, and it was kind of over. When the Jets offensive line took over, because Breece Hall just is an absolute beast. It felt like every run in the second half was like a 10-yard run. And yeah, so for the Jets, you like to see that Breece Hall is a real star, and he can kind of win you some games. I think the Broncos might have the worst run defense in the NFL, so we'll see how it goes against the Eagles next week, who have probably the best. It's going to be an interesting regression. But yeah, the interesting game. I'll let you talk about it before I talk some more.
Yeah, I was gonna say you definitely you were in the spotlight. You're actually at this game, but yeah, I mean the Jets win in spite of really not having a good offensive passing game, but I mean the ball just kept falling their way. I mean a safety, he didn't get sacked for a safety. He threw the ball away, and it was intentional grounding, and that's safety. 2 weeks in a row they've had that now. A muff punt by Denver leads to a field goal. A Russell Wilson. I mean, I thought the Broncos were going to win at the end when Russell Wilson was after the that Surtain pick. Broncos looked like they had the momentum, and then this Jets defense. I mean, truly a top 2 defense in the NFL, in my opinion. I think they're top 3. I'd say they're right up there with Dallas and San Francisco. But yeah, between the Jets defense and Breece Hall, just kind of took over and won them the game. The Broncos looked like they had them in the first half. Kind of, then the Jets realized, let's just hand off the ball. That's our best offense is just running the ball. And Breece Hall averages 8 yards a carry, breaks out for a 70-yard touchdown. And yeah, the ball just was, it was falling in the Jets' favor. I can't remember. It was some big defensive lineman on the Broncos right in the beginning of the game. He gets a big sack, causes a fumble. They weren't able to jump on it. It's just like small things like that just weren't going the Broncos' way. And I honestly watched this game. I thought the Broncos were I thought they were the better offense in this game, but that Jets defense is just too high powered, and they make too many big plays. And yeah, Breece Hall was just on fire. So shout out to the Jets. They got a big win this week. Breece Hall looking like a real top 5 running back in the NFL at this point.
Yeah, and yeah, the Broncos defense started out good. Like you said, they had that strip sack on a screenplay by Zach Allen that they weren't able to recover, and they started off good. But yeah, Breece Hall just kind of literally wore them down, and they just started getting soft, and they slowly just got out of the game, and they just aren't good enough to really compete with a defense like that. But I did, as a Broncos fan, I will say I'm a Broncos fan, so I might be biased, but I did want to shout out a few Broncos players. Even though they lost, Patrick Surtain, absolute beast. He pretty much shadowed Garrett Wilson like the whole game, and Garrett Wilson had one catch for 12 yards and went on Surtain. And after that one catch, you could tell that Pat was like visibly frustrated that he gave that up. He didn't think that he should have gave that slant up, and then he obviously had that pick at the end that gave the Broncos a chance to go win the game. So unfortunate that they couldn't take over, but shout out to Surtain and shout out to Nick Benito as well. I think he's going to be a future star edge rusher. He looks really good. And then Jaleel McLaughlin as well. Very electric,
Yes.
very electric. I
That dude
started
is
him in every
awesome.
single fantasy, and I love it. He's a fast little player.
Dude, that guy's amazing. I had no idea who he was. I thought Simon J.P. Ryan was going to come out here and be, big RB1. And I saw this McLaughlin, how do you say it? McLaughlin?
Yeah, McLaughlin. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him in the last game get a couple carries, and that dude's fast. The little man's electric. And he had that little screenplay for the touchdown at the beginning of the game. But yeah, he looks like he looks like a really good running back, and the Broncos might have found. I'm guessing he was undrafted because I'd never heard of him before, but I think the Broncos might have found themselves a hidden star right there with McLaughlin.
Yeah, Jaleel McLaughlin, undrafted out of Youngstown State. Yeah, apparently Sean Payton saw something he liked and he made the team, and he's made some waves. He scored. He has, I think, 2 total touchdowns this year, and Javonte Williams hasn't scored yet. So yeah, Jaleel McLaughlin is, every time he touches the ball, it's pretty electric. And Marvin Mims did have a pretty rough game, game to forget. 2 fumbles.
Yeah, brutal. Ball wasn't falling on the Broncos. Wasn't for a team, the Broncos who are 1-4 or 1-3 going into this game. You gotta be smarter with the football. Coughing up fumbles against defense this good, getting a safety, muffing a punt. It wasn't a game that you could afford to do that in, and they definitely paid for it in the end.
Yeah, and Sean Payton, he looked embarrassed. He had a red face the whole interview after, and I mean, it's embarrassing. Like he needs to be better. He's just simply got to be better. He's not doing good enough.
Yeah, when you trade a first round pick for a coach, you better be out there with a near flawless game plan every week. And he's got to change this around, and the Broncos got to do better.
Yep, and yeah, respect to the Jets. Love to see Brees Hall healthy with full workload. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more of that. We'll get on to the Sunday night game. The Cowboys go into San Fran and lose to the Niners 42-10. The Niners just show that they're kind of just too dominant. If the Cowboys were, to many people, kind of like the second or third team in the NFC. So if that's the second or third team in the NFC, then the 49ers are just a force to be reckoned with. It's crazy. Kittle had the hat trick. Ayuk looks good. Christian McCaffrey, every time he touches the ball, it's a first down or a touchdown or just something. He's just a man on a mission this year. It's crazy to watch. And then I really wanted to shout out Fred Warner. Fred Warner kind of took this game over and just kind of put the 49ers on his back. He gave them multiple opportunities. He had 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 pass defended that was on a great play where he kind of baited Dak, and then he had a pick as well. So he was just absolutely everywhere. Love to see that from Fred Warner, one of the best defensive players in the league.
Yeah, I mean, what an absolute dominant performance by the 49ers. I mean, they just look like they're on another tier length than really anyone in the NFL. I think we can kind of consensually agree that they're probably the team to beat right now in the NFL. Just the brand of football, the style of football. It doesn't matter who it is week to week. I mean, one week it's Ayuk, next week it's Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey. Brock Purdy's just playing nearly flawless football. He's making every pass. He doesn't make dumb mistakes. The offensive line is dominant. The defense is probably the best in the NFL. I mean, just on all aspects, there's no reason right now that this team shouldn't be considered Super Bowl favorites. They are just so dominant. And when you go over there and you do that to the Cowboys and embarrass them like that, it's just crazy. I mean, you put up, gosh, what was it, 40?
42.
42 on a top 3 defense. It's ridiculous. The Cowboys looked lost. Mike McCarthy looked lost. They couldn't come up with any answers. And just crazy. Just absolutely crazy performance by the 49ers. Dominant. And, they're the scariest team in the NFL right now.
They also added Randy Gregory just to add a cherry on top.
Yeah, just because they totally needed him.
Yeah, totally.
When you're so good, you always just seem to add better players. So just because you need them, and other teams forget that they want to be good too. So
Yeah, I have a feeling Randy Gregory is going to have some like Alvin Smith vibes in San Fran, and kind of rejuvenate his career, because why not? It's San Francisco. Who doesn't just succeed in this scheme, in this system, in this situation? It's why not? The San Francisco's insane. We've talked enough about them. They're the team to beat in the NFL. Can't even argue it. They're a bowling ball. And then on the Cowboys end, man, like Mike McCarthy's rough. They didn't even really compete. Like CD was frustrated after this game. He talked to McCarthy after, apparently, and he needs to be frustrated because he needs to be the focal point, and the Cowboys need to force feed the guy like every single play, because he's what makes things happen on their offense. So you got to get CD more involved. You got to stop with the spreading it around and splitting it with Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks and CD and everyone. Just feed CD and Tony Pollard, because that's where you're going to get your electric output on your offense.
yeah, Cowboys next Monday Night Football versus the Chargers. It's a good team to get your offense back on track against, because the Chargers secondary absolutely struggling this year. JC Jackson's now on the Patriots. So we'll see. Derwin's hurt. It's going to be an interesting game. That's going to be one to tune in for sure.
Yeah, side note, the Cowboys Chargers game is going to be an awesome one. Definitely the game of the week next week, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be electric. Monday Night Football. Everyone will be watching. Kellen Moore revenge game. We'll see how it goes. It's a week away. We're filming this right now on Monday. It's a week away, and I already have butterflies. I'm already nervous for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for our preview episode to see. I guess we already know who you're picking, but I guess you'll see who I'm picking in that one. But we'll get on to the next one. The Packers going to LA and lose to the Raiders. They just couldn't get it done. The Raiders were giving them multiple chances to come back into the game, and Jordan Love just couldn't get it done. Jordan Love was throwing some bad picks in this game. He had that play at the very end where he had Christian Watson. He just waited too long to throw it. He didn't pull the trigger fast enough.
Yeah, I sent a text. I said, Jordan Love was about 6 seconds too late on that throw. Christian Watson had absolutely torched the corner. He had at least a foot or two of separation, which in the NFL feels like, a mile. And, Jordan Love's just got to be smarter. He's got to get the ball out quicker. He's got to get through his progressions faster. I mean, it seems like that should have been his first read on that play.
Yeah, I don't know how he wasn't the first read on that play specifically.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, Jordan Love with a 3 interception game tonight, and the Packers only losing by 4. I mean, they blew this game. They gave it away. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Jordan Love definitely disappointed tonight. That 3 interception game was brutal. On the other hand, Jimmy Garoppolo kind of played out Jimmy Garoppolo you would expect. 22 for 31, 208 yards, a touchdown, an interception. I don't even say, the Raiders, they're just okay tonight. They're just okay tonight. They didn't dominate in the run game. They didn't do anything. I mean, Josh Jacobs only averaging 3.5 yards a carry. Nothing to write home about.
Josh Jacobs didn't dominate, but as the game went on, he did kind of progress. And I think he's the reason they won this game, is because Josh Jacobs did start to get going a little bit, every once in a while.
Yeah, he slowly was wearing out the defense. That's what he's doing. I mean, at 3.5 yards a carry, it's not fantastic, but it is enough to wear down the defense. And is Davante Adams hurt?
Jimmy just was on a mission to not look at Davante Adams at all. He was perfectly fine. How many targets did he end up getting?
Target wise, I know he ended up with 4 catches for 45 yards. Let me tell you, I'll hurry and find his target share real quick.
While you're looking, I had an underdog slip that everything hit, and then the last thing that needed to hit was Davante Adams over, which should be the biggest lock for anyone ever. So I can't believe that didn't hit. I can't believe Jimmy didn't throw it to Davante more.
Yeah, so Davante was only targeted 4 times. So he's targeted 4 times for 4 receptions for 45 yards. I don't know how you don't involve your best player more than that, but I mean, Jimmy's a man on a mission to not overfeed, I guess, Davante for some reason.
Yeah, he was throwing it to a lot of checkdowns to Jacobs and just feeding Jacoby Myers. But other than that, he wasn't really looking at Davante in his revenge game for some reason. Beats me, I don't know, but they won. So shout out to the Raiders, and you got to shout out Max Crosby. The guy's an absolute menace. Like you said, you don't really know how the Raiders won. It's probably because Josh Jacobs wear the defense down, and then Max Crosby. He had the other 10 guys on that defense playing great, and he had Spillane getting 2 picks, and he's a menace. 5 tackles for loss. He's him.
People don't realize, I mean, Max Crosby might not have these TJ Watt type stats, but I mean, what he's doing for this defense, I mean, the reason the Raiders have any pressures from any other dudes and any sacks is because of Max Crosby. He forces everything on that defense good to happen, and he probably plays harder than anyone I've ever seen. I mean, Max Crosby is absolutely out there. You know, that dude is sprinting and he is just, I mean, the effort he puts in is better than anyone I think I've ever seen on the defensive side of the ball. And that dude is just an absolute menace. And, you know, he's insane. He's just absolutely insane. He's a one-man wrecking crew. And this defense runs around him. And without Max Crosby, they would struggle. They would struggle bad. He keeps that defense flowing.
So fun to watch. He's easily in the defensive player of the year conversation as well, and he's the only one that isn't really on a team with a really good defense. That just shows how good he is and how big of a game changer he is. He probably deserves better. Kind of feel bad for him. And then for the Packers, Jordan Love, just the takeaways are kind of just Jordan Love needs to play safer. Just got to be safer with the football. Christian Watson is very electric. Get that guy the ball on a slant, or just have him run down the field. He's electric. He's going to make electric plays every game. But the Packers were just stale, and they got to be better.
100%. Packers looked really flat, awful tonight. And ultimately, I'm gonna kind of point the finger, because you are the quarterback of the team, Jordan Love. You got to play better. You can't make some boneheaded throws. And their defense kept him in it. He had a chance to make the game-winning play at the end of the game. And like I said, he was 6 seconds too late on a throw that should have been thrown, you know, right as the snap, because Christian Watson had beaten his guy off the line. He was open for a touchdown.
Yeah, and it's hard with Love. Like some of these quarterbacks, they're just straight up bad out on the field. But Love is good in some aspects of the game, and in some areas he needs to work on it, especially mental. It's mostly mental for Love, but like his release is fun to watch. It's a really aesthetic pleasing release. He just releases it so fast. It's a flick of the wrist, and he's such a strong arm. But he's got to be smarter, man.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about Jordan Love. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's a phenomenal football player. He'll fix his mistakes. It was just a rough night for him. You know, he knows he's got to be better, and he'll come out next week, and, you know, Packers will bounce back.
Yeah, unfortunate the Packers couldn't get the win, but hopefully with Aaron Jones coming back, they'll be a little bit better on offense. Fun covering all of Week 5's games. Tune into the NFL Seekers podcast for our Week 6 preview in a few days. Tune into the NFL Seekers podcast. Like, subscribe, and thanks for joining, Josh.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Peace.